Everyone, we're getting ready for our second game and our second best of two. Team Liquid Academy making sure to strike the reigning kings in game one, taking one off of 100 Thieves Academy and putting them at a potential to have their first 0-2 of the summer split.
It was really impressive from Team Liquid because they also didn't have exactly the easiest composition. They didn't have this super clear, very quick team fight composition. They didn't outscale or anything. It was just creativity. It was a lot of flank angles. It was a lot of stuff that is really hard to execute on. And for a team that has so many other things that have changed about, where you got Dokla who stepped in and a couple of other members that have changed about a bit, it's really impressive that they're able to pull it off this quickly and make that kind of rotation. It speaks to the volume that Team Liquid has been able to prepare for.
Yeah, and Team Liquid, it's good to see this from the top of the standings, because you don't want one team to just run away with the entire split. You want to see competition. You want to see teams be able to fight back. And here, Team Liquid are looking like they're bouncing back from last week where they suffered that 0-2 to Evil Geniuses and are looking like they might be able to take down the top dogs.
And it felt like from the beginning of the game that Team Liquid was playing on a front foot, being able to make all these plays happen, being able to force when they wanted to be able to pull kills that they wanted to. They shut out Luger pretty effectively. They stopped most of the team fights that looked even serviceable from the side of 100 Thieves. And their dragon control, their objective control was what was really, really nice in this game. And while it wasn't, again, that finishing blow necessarily, it's what forced all this interaction where Team Liquid was able to use all these tools to their finest, and they'd be able to play around dragons and stuff for these flanks to come in effectively. I know you had an interesting stat where 100 Thieves has not really done... Teams that have beaten 100 Thieves in first game have not really looked good afterwards for the most part, so maybe that's something to consider. But at minimum, Team Liquid came out with some really, really ferocious game one gameplay.
They really did, and you can see that from how well they were able to fight around these, constantly having these flank angles for Hayri, for Dokla. Here, they were able to get a clean ace when the game, sure, they had a sizable lead, but it was pretty close. Usually, at that point, you'd have at least a couple kills traded back, but just completely wiped them because they were able to play the fights exactly to a T.
It felt like 100 Thieves, they have every single one of the members of their team can be a focal point, but that game felt like there wasn't a focal point that was really, really shining through, where Luger was attempted to be the focal point, but again, because of the early shutdowns and things didn't get going fast enough, they tried to swap it over to Ryoma, but it was a little bit too late for that Jace to really get going and really start hammering home fights on his own. So that was the problem, I think, for 100 Thieves. It's not one that they typically will have more than one game in a row. Obviously, they have yet to even lose a series in that 0-2 fashion, so there is that to consider. But if they kind of round back, they come back to the drawing board, they say, okay, what's going to be the focal point this game? What's our game plan? What's our plan of action? It should be enough for them to at least look a lot more competitive in the later stages of this game than what we saw, where now, hopefully, I loved the idea of the Juggernaut, but it did get bullied very quickly. Big props to Jan and Ayla and understanding how that matchup was supposed to work in within that laning phase. I just kind of took it off the knee before it started.
I do want to circle back, because you were talking about how I was able to find a fun stat about 100 Thieves. The last two series where they go down the first game, it was the first one, I believe, not against Cloud9. They were able to win game one and then lose game two way back in week one. But then after that, it was FlyQuest where they were able to pretty much clap back in game two, have an under 20-minute victory to be able to beat them there. And then Immortals were the next one, where it was a 42-minute slugfest in game one, and then they came back, clapped back in a 30-minute fashion for game two. So I'm wondering if they're going to be able to bounce back like that here against Team Liquid, especially because this is a team that has been reigning supreme. They have been at the top. They have looked so solid as an organization. And honestly, you got to give a lot of props to all the players, to the coach behind the scenes in Golden Glue, and how he's been able to really build up all of these players.
Yeah, big props actually to both coaching staff, because again, I thought 100 Thieves draft was really creative, and then also their game plan seemed okay to start with. But Spawn, I know, has really come through. That draft was one that we saw previously from EG, but they performed on that composition so much differently, and having to bring in new players and stuff cannot be easy. And so big props to both these coaching staffs for their ability to develop these players in a very, very quick fashion to have this level of competition that prepared for.
Spawn, Hack's Defender, who I believe moved up to the LCS as well, just for Team Liquid. There's so much when it comes to the organizations of the coaching staff behind the scenes that you see from 100 Thieves, from Team Liquid. And it makes me curious to see how these two teams are going to approach Game 2 when so much is on the line, where you are the only team now remaining to have not suffered a 0-2. 100 Thieves, they have a lot riding on this one, while Team Liquid are a team that want to be able to take away that top spot and make sure that they're going to be the ones that gain control of that first seed.
Yeah, they're both up there. Neither one of these teams is really sweating right now because of teams behind them that we've covered over the last couple of days in other ways. Where these are really entrenched as our top teams pretty definitively. And so yeah, on one side, 100 Thieves, they've got some pride riding on this because obviously you don't want to lose. And if you can keep that 0-2 column completely empty for the entirety of the split, that would look really impressive. On the opposite side, Team Liquid being able to be the first one to be the Kingslayer and say, okay, put down the 0-2, it cements them, especially after losses like the EG where they got 0-2 and other losses previously in the split to teams that probably were worse or could have beaten them, or they could have beaten 100%. A defeat or a conquest here, a 2-0 over top of our Titan right now inside of Academy would be humongous for the side of TL to be able to actually take into the rest of the split, and a lot of a confidence boost for this team to be able to ride on for the remainder of these playoffs.
Especially when you look at how they've been performing since week one. Week one, they started out the gate strong, getting into that both series 2-0 victories. First over TSM Academy, then over CLG Academy. And after that, 1-1, 1-1, 2-0, 0-2. They've kind of been just right down in the middle after that. This would be a great bounce back to be able to go 3-1 in this week 5 to say that they are going to be a team that is going to continue to put pressure on its teams like FlyQuest, like 100 Thieves, and maybe be able to take away some sort of position, because that's all what it's about. Like I said, they're pretty much a lock. We're going to Proving Grounds outright. It's about seeding after that as we jump into Champions League.
That we do. And we'll see what changes now occur, because 100 Thieves, they're playing on blue side now. They're clearly capable of playing on both sides because we've seen that in a number of ways. But their blue side preference, I think you come up with as being that's true. A lot of teams actually are back and forth. I think this is a patch where both sides have their strength just because of how much is really good in the meta to be able to play. It's the crafting of the whole composition that comes into problem, because these first 2-3 picks, there's so many flex values that you can throw into those that it's just it's impossible to keep track of all of them.
We get pretty much right now similar bans, the Kindred, Nocturne from each of the team. In the Varus going onto the bench from Team Liquid despite swapping sides. They're going with the tried and true, taking away the comfort and the power that 100 Thieves Academy have been providing through those champions throughout this split. Well, I will say I like that change, taking away the Thresh, because clearly Ayla was an absolute monster when it came to finding Luger anytime possible, constantly being able to get the cleanses blown from that Kog'Maw, so he wasn't nearly as safe as he would like. I think I've lost Dean really quick.
I'm right here.
Oh, there we go. We accidentally had him mute really quick, but going back into this, so we have Viego, Lulu, actually the last man from Team Liquid, which leaves open that Gwen for Tenacity to grab.
I was going to say Karma's available, which is a flex pick that can be played by a number of members. But again, like you said, Tenacity obviously likes the ability of the Gwen, and I'm sure they can flex it to Kenvi as well, so there's that possibility. But that does open up Team Liquid to go for the Karma themselves, so now they've got a possibility to flex that in a couple of different roles to be able to deny. And again, the Xin Zhao continues to get led through.
That's what I was expecting. When you leave the Karma open, Karma, Xin Zhao, Karma, Lulu, those are two powerful champions. It's kind of what we were saying before when you have these Enchanter supports, and I wouldn't be surprised if they just grab Braum right here. Grab the Braum, make sure that you have this powerful trio where you get the movement speed, the shields coming in from Karma, then you also get the easy stack of the Concussive Blows passive from Braum to make sure no target can get away from you.
I think something that also speaks to the kind of player that Kenvi is that in this last day of like gameplay on this patch, we've seen so much Xin Zhao and then the response being Trundle from a number of other people, right? And then now on 100 Thieves, it's not Kenvi saying, oh, I'm going to play the Trundle, which he obviously could play because we've seen him do it before. He keeps saying, I'm going to take Diana because it's more of a skill matchup and it's something that he impacts a lot more with, I think, than something like the Trundle. It does a lot more damage. That's the kind of person that Kenvi is. I know you got a little ecstatic there for the Ezreal to come in.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by that. I thought it would be the Braum pickup, just trying to make sure you can circumvent the possibility that you're going to have that banned away, because I'm also not a big fan of a Ezreal Braum bot lane. We've seen that a couple times, and it really just does not have that great of success. The Ezreal Karma bot lane, though, on the other hand, that one is a really powerful bot lane to be able to try to put a lot of pressure onto the side of 100 Thieves Academy, make it so Luger and Boom, if they do want to, I doubt they're going to default back to that Kog'Maw, especially with the Lulu being banned away, but if they have a weaker side bot lane, they're going to be shoved in even more than they were previously.
Yeah, or even just a melee support in general, which typically is what Puma is going to go to in the majority of these matchups. The thing is, Team Liquid will give away information now because your ADC and your jungle are pretty much locked in. This Karma is going to one of the solo lanes or going into support. So if you pick a solo lane here, you still have the option of putting it at support. That's my expectation, but that means that you're going to be able to see one of those champions that came through, although the Lucian and the Gwen are already here. So that's a lot of really good draft strategy from Team Liquid to be able to counterpick now at this like R4 position against one of those two, unless for some reason Luger is going to end up taking this Lucian into the bottom, which I always like the ADCs who are willing to do that, even if it's not the way that it was before.
I mean, it could be that, but I also, by that same stroke, we could even see maybe the Ezreal being flexed around. That still is a possibility, even though we have this Akali. We're expecting it, to be for the mid lane for Haygri to try to go against Ryoma on this Lucian. There's always that potential that you have, especially in Academy. We've seen Pretty play it twice in mid lane and have great success both times with Ezreal mid lane. You don't know exactly. It's always like one of those, maybe it's like 90% chances that it doesn't happen, and we're seeing that it is going to be Lucian mid lane for Ryoma, his most played champion this split so far. So nothing too surprising, but I want to see if it's going to be the Nautilus paired up to try to be able to circumvent the power that can come from Ezreal Karma.
Right now, also, there's no front line for the side of Team Liquid Academy, which is concerning to me. I know Luger, like, when I talked about him earlier, this was the champion that I saw him go absolutely nuts on. Alistar throws additional dive in, a little bit of tankiness, and some engage into this, which is really nice to combine. So now Team Liquid has to make the decision. Do you put Karma into the support role? And if that's the case, what are you picking in a solo lane? Because I'd like to see some bulkiness really heavily in this team composition. Otherwise, again, you've got no front line. And this time, when I mean it, I really mean no front line. But Braum, it came in a little later than you thought it was going to, but it did end up on this comp.
Yeah, it did. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of an Ezreal Braum lane. I will say this over and over again, just because it does lack a lot of that pizzazz to be able to kind of help out Braum with getting the concussive blow stacked up pretty quickly. But it is into a Kai'Sa and Alistar lane. Not necessarily known for being that explosive power at level 2, such as a Kai'Sa Nautilus bot lane is. But there is still going to be that potential for this early fight that Boom might try to be able to see if he can catch Yon a little bit out of position. And if he's able to do that, I mean, you're going to have the Braum there to be able to protect him.
Yeah, Braum, I think in previous years, or at least back when I remember, like Braum and Alistar being two of the most meta champions, Braum usually got the better of this matchup because it's pretty easy to deal with Alistar from melee range, and also being able to jump in front of projectiles is pretty useful when that CC comes through, because there's a lot of burst CC from Alistar compared to something else. At least that's how the matchup go. Maybe it's evolved since then, but for the most part, I'm pretty sure that's a solid lane, or at least a very defensive lane for Team Liquid, where you're not worried about getting aggressed on at all. And it also makes for Isla, my apologies, to be able to move out and about on the map with this Xin Zhao, who's got this super powerful early game, not even just the level 1 where those concussive blows add on to that like engage that you can have from Xin Zhao, but also you pair it with like Karma, you've got some really good CC and a lot of movement speed to control the interior of the map with, and you can't really do much aggression with an Alistar into an Ezreal, so you're perfectly safe with Eon on the bottom lane if Isla wants to get a little bit frisky with the rest of the map.
As we dive into Game 2, second best of 200 Thieves Academy, backs to the wall right now. Want to make sure they can retain the fact that they are the only team not get 0-2'd, but Team Liquid have a composition that they feel confident in. They've got Yana onto his Ezreal, his most played. They even got the triple threat of Armeo with Xin Zhao and a Karma Braum behind him.
They do. We are seeing a bit of a movement now towards bottom lane, which I'm a little excited about, but thankfully, Luger has his wits about him because he is staying way far away from that dry brush, making sure there's no chance that that invade's going to come in anytime soon.
Uh-oh.
Nope.
No,
Not worried.
No, they're going to... oh, no, they got spotted. Bail, abort. Not going to work out. Luger is able to...
Actually... I was really impressed by what Luger did right there, because he played with the vision insanely, because he was so low down in that lane that there's not any chance of invading, and he also spots out when they take that low path, which is where a lot of teams go from that dry brush. So Luger with some, that was really intelligent. I don't know if that's a coaching thing or a Luger thing or somebody suggested it to him, but whoever came up with that's pretty big brain, because that was a nice little catch on that invade.
I do like that, and it's making it so it will be a little bit more tricky toward the side of Team Liquid to be able to actually know exactly where Kenvi is. Because look at this, Kenvi, the whole time stealing away the red buff, will be spotted out, I think, by that ward that's right outside of the Raptor pit. This is really good stuff from the side of 100 Thieves. If Armeo reads it properly, he should immediately be booking it for the red buff, but Kenvi He's saying, nah, I'm going right there. I'm going to make sure that you get triple buffed.
I don't know that it was spotted out. If it was spotted out, I think it's because mostly that Luger and Poom should be able to have the push against the Ezreal this early into the laning phase. So even if they walk into the jungle, you're going to get run down for the most part. Especially because Ryoma also got some good push. Hit every minion, or at least 3 of the minions, as well as Harry with that Q that it burned through. So you're burning a couple of the charges of the health posh from Harry. So you can't really contest there either. You don't get the priority. That's what the Lucian's for in the mid lane. So there's no place for Armeo to go anymore. He can go into his top side without the buff and just get triple buff as the process continues. So well played from Kenvi, good support from his team.
And good play from Luger Boom too. You saw how they were backing off. They pretty much read the times almost perfectly for where Armeo probably was, saying, hey, you just got triple buff. He's probably going to look for a play bot side since we're getting the shove early on. Why don't we peel back before they get level 2 and actually can have a full-on fight since Kenvi won't be in position quickly enough.
Interesting, Kenvi somehow is on this bottom side. You would think that Armeo would maybe go for a topside play, especially because you haven't taken your topside camps, but apparently Kenvi has somehow sniffed out that Armeo is not going there, and instead
Alright, is going to be looking for the engage onto Ayla, having to flash with the wall up, trying to survive it. His first one picking up, they got some flows onto Kenvi, and they take him down 1 for 1. Looking to see if they can get anybody else. Poom going to be able to get barely away, and it's a trade for support and jungler favoring the side of Team Liquid.
I really don't know how it is that Kenvi was able to sniff that out. I don't know if there was a ward somewhere that I missed that like Armeo was able to just like step across for a very brief moment, but it was really impressive that Kenvi was able to know that that was coming. I don't know if that was intentional or if that was supposed to be some sort of play that had come from the pathing that he had taken, but the triple buff wasn't there because this is just the 1 red buff. So instead of just burst damage, wanting to make sure that Ayla is going to go down in this process, they almost have enough damage to bring down Armeo as well during this as well. They came really close to it because of the plasma stacks, but just not able to continue because, of course, red buff on the Ezreal is really difficult to try to deal with and get away from in the end, so they likely would have lost all of their lives to Yeon, and you don't want to give 3 kills to an Ezreal this early.
No, and I will say that does end up being a little bit detrimental for Kenvi having gotten that triple buff start over Armeo to look to be in that position to fight these early skirmishes. Now he kind of got to go back to the drawing board. They're evened up on buffs, blue for blue. Nothing too fanciful. But I do think that it was another one of these double scuttle starts for the side of Armeo over Kenvi.
That it is. You will still get the triple buff because the red buff is still available on your side for Kenvi here, which is nice. But like you said, the scuttle crab takes have been traded pretty effectively. Kenvi is just saying, okay, you can have the double scuttle if it means that I get an impact earlier on in this lane. That just happened to not go excruciatingly well. Tenacity has a huge wave under his tower, trying to stop Dokla, which is really seems pretty greedy to me to want to run past that wave like that.
Yeah, trying to see if he's just going to be able to farm up underneath the turret and deny a lot from the side of Dokla, but I mean, yeah, look at that. Look how low that plate is topside now. It's going to make it a little bit easier for Dokla to rinse, repeat. He's going back. He's going to be able to get one of those cheater recalls. Doesn't even have to expend his TP to be able to get back into lane.
After Tenacity had done the same thing, where Tenacity now is going to end up slow pushing this wave a little bit further. That ward spots out Kenvi on his way back to the bottom side, and then back looking to put more pressure onto Yeon, maybe play towards Luger and Boom as much as possible, but isn't able to make that happen because of the protective vision. Again, it's really difficult to aggress against this Braum and this Ezreal as it is. Let alone if they're properly putting down some of this information to track where the Diana is going to be at. So Kenvi able to be here. Also, Armeo covering the area, wanting to make sure this Ezreal Braum is fine. Now Tenacity is level 6 too.
There might actually be a potential fight around that dragon, even though we see that Ryoma is going to be the first one on the call to be able to answer it. There is always the potential that you have that TP in from Dokla. He's kind of hanging around, making it so that they have that ability to threaten, but Yeon has no idea the flank from Boom to take him down with Dragon.
Gorgeous flank from Boom right there to be able to find the kill onto Ezreal. That's going to help very heavily the CSing game for Luger, who was down a fair amount after he had to catch those waves earlier when that the back had to come through. So there's that. Not to mention they get the Dragon, they get everything they want. No TPs come through, so the fight's not there from Dokla. All off the back again. Lucian's able to pull a lot of mid farm, or able to pull a lot of mid priority even over top of Pharma, who usually is able to pull that from other champions. And then Luger, Boom, able to push out constantly against the likes of the Ezreal. Now Harry in some trouble.
Oh, has to flash away. He even had the heal that he had gotten from the unsealed spellbook that had to be blown just to be able to get away from Yoma, who's putting up a big old kingdom here in this mid lane, saying that I am the king of Oceania. You are here simply as my minion.
Extremely well played from Ryoma right there. Going to be able to shove this wave in. I would want to see this almost shoving harder right now. I guess maybe what you're doing is you're letting it like play at a certain time if you're looking for a timing. Actually, Dogma's in a really bad position right now because there's a support up here. They're going to be able to find him.
Envy too, looking to be able to jump on top of him with the Moonfall. Even though you have the Twilight Shroud, they know where you are, boy. Trying to be able to chase it down over the wall. He's barely alive. Oh, he survives. Dokla is getting chased down by Ryoma. Got the W off, but he's not going to be... Oh, the burn! No, it's not enough! Corrupting Pot doesn't pick up Dokla! How'd you survive?
So sad. It was about as close as it could be. They knew where it was that Dokla was. They collapsed around him, able to use that shroud into the blast plant to get over the wall. And the flash burn for Ryoma just looking for that kill almost unnecessarily. And also even worse, that Taylor gets the push on the bottom side.
Nice dodge there from Yon to be able to get away from the headbutt pulverize combination. Plus they get a lot of damage onto Luger Poom. Right now for Team Liquid, the fact that they're able to dodge away, survive Dokla, getting out of there alive is also incredibly impressive to keep them through this mid-game.
Oh, yes. The early plays have certainly gone to 100 Thieves. They've been able to find a couple of them, but that does not mean that Liquid is out of this at all. We saw this in the previous game as well. Some of the early games went to 100 Thieves, but they were able to pull out the later stages, especially with like Ezreal scaling. You've got plenty of firepower for the later stages if you get to that point, even though you have the double ADC, and you also got like Diana, Gwen, so there's plenty of damage there as well. Both teams have like an okay support for tanking a bit of damage. Brom's a little better at it, but the earlier stages is where really 100 Thieves love to make these strikes, especially with this Diana. Let's see if that continues for Kenvi. As you're looking for where he's heading right now, he's walking up mid lane, maybe towards boss side a little bit. I think the dragon stacking also for 100 Thieves is going to be a lot easier because they're the ones with the prio bot lane now. It's making their lives a lot easier.
You got your eyes on Kenvi and Diana. I have my eyes on Ryoma and Lucian. How he's been able to play this mid lane, you can see the amount of pressure he has onto Hayri. I mean, sure, you can make the argument it's just the Karma-Lucian matchup. Lucian is incredibly aggressive, always going to try to look for those trades onto Hayri. But the fact that he's able to keep his Karma pinned away from Armeo, never able to join up, you can already see that the fight continues right there. Just two members flash in from Poom to be able to take down Armeo, and Hayri could do nothing but watch. He gets stunned up underneath the turret. Yon is going to be able to trade back Poom's life because he showed up just in time. There's so much damage onto two of the members that Yon might have to be a little bit more careful against. Ryoma, he's got red buff, and even if you think you have the health, he's got the damage.
Really, really tragic right there. I think Poom was trying to tank the tower to allow Ryoma to just throw auto attacks into Hayri topside. Yeah. Yeah, I saw this happening. Tenacity was in the midst of a skirmish with Dokla on the top side. It looked like Dokla was just giving up the wave to go for a back. I guess Kenvi was able to find a pathing where he wasn't going to be seen and was able to catch Dokla off guard. What a play from this Diana to be able to try not only that mid fight where you're able to pull one kill with the Moonfall, but also then to track down Dokla with communication from Tenacity to make another strike down with Goma back in the mid lane.
We were talking about the damage coming in from Ryoma, dodging away from concussive blows, but he's burning now. Has to be careful. The flash in from Yon. The auto attack to take him down.
Pain right there. Pain at the last second.
Pain without the S, and Hayri right now about to have the same thing reciprocated. The shield, though! These members of Team Liquid, how do they keep living?
Oh, by the skin of their teeth multiple times. Double summoners actually burnt by Eon and Isla in that as well. I think Exhaust wasn't burnt during that process. And then Hayri right there, just barely living through that one play. And it does open up Team Liquid to have a bit more. This is the play that got tracked on the top side.
Oh, it's just an easy clinical dive from Kenvi. That's what it is.
Oh, Flash was burnt. There is that.
I
guess that's one resource that got burnt. But yeah, kill does go over.
The only thing is the fact that then that mid lane play where Ryoma falls to Yon, and bot lane not getting the reciprocal kill onto the mid laner of Hayri, who barely was able to survive, meant that now, with Rift Herald picked up by Team Liquid, they have this potential to be able to drop this and get a lot of gold into certain members. I'm just wondering, which member is going to be the most critical? Do you want to put it into Dokla to help him out since he's struggling now in this mid-game against Tenacity? Or do you want to give it over to Yon and make sure this Ezreal is going to be able to punish anybody?
I think Eon is probably the best option. The reason why is like Akali's really good at trying to pick out single targets, especially like side lanes, but more specifically inside of team fights, looking for somebody to assassinate. There's so many good targets for like this Akali to go for, whether it's the Lucian or the Kai'Sa. You're not super concerned because there's no real one dedicated target to go for, whereas the team fight is going to be lost if your Ezreal isn't ahead. So I'd like to see Yeon really get that access. It also allows for sieging to start happening around the map for the side of Team Liquid, where they can start using their range with the Karma and the Ezreal to start looking for pressure in mid and in top and in bot to push for some of these neutral objectives, especially Dragon, which is going to be necessary for them at some point. So I think Rift Herald being dropped to try to support Yeon is likely their best choice here.
Yeah, it does seem that that is the play they want to go for, but unfortunately for them, they're shoved in mid, bot, and top. Every single lane has been shoved in pretty hard. So they had to recall John just to be able to get that Divine Tsundere, which means that they give up the second Dragon stacking now there for 100 Thieves Academy. Pretty much the opposite of what we saw last game where it was Team Liquid. The ones who kept getting a lot of these Dragons to be able to stack up early. Udokla looking for the 1v1 fight against Tenacity. Needlework doing a lot of damage. He is able to survive, but so is Tenacity. Dokla, he is under a lot of threat. You can tell that Tenacity wants to be able to find out this top laner. The Blast Cone able to scare him away. They've spotted him on that ward. Has enough time. Oh, he's going for the back. He's trying to go for the recall. Not going to be able to get though. Tenacity's here. Blast Gun away. Got the damage. He turns it around and gets at least one on the way out.
That's Tenacity, I think, just not... It was tough to try to read that because of the Blast Code interaction right there, where both of them got blown in different directions, and I think because of that, Tenacity ends up using his snip in the wrong direction, and it's just not enough. Auto Attack isn't able to actually get that one. It was really close. I almost would have preferred Tenacity to stay on that tower and just try to pull off a couple more plates at the last seconds, because there was no way that Dokla could make his way back. The TP wasn't available. No one was there from Team Liquid to cover, but instead they go for the kill, end up giving the trade back, and now Rift Herald gets to be used because Ryoma had to roam up just to respond to that play from Dokla, who was able to purchase headspace there for Tenacity to pull him away from that top tower.
But I feel like this actually still benefits 100 Thieves, because you get 2 kills now into Ryoma's pockets. The solution going to be even scarier. But then also, the Rift Herald used their mid lane. You wanted it to be on Yawn. You wanted it to be this Ezreal, who was gifted a lot of the gold. But unfortunately, they only had so much of a timer left on the plate gold to be able to give it to somebody. So they popped it mid lane in the hopes that they could eventually crack that tier 1, which means that Hayri is the one to get the gold instead.
Yeah, and the Karma is... they are just messing with Luger right now, making sure that's not going to come through. I don't know. Response play, I don't know if the Ezreal ultimate actually tags. They're looking for Dokla right now.
Looking for Dokla. Dive back in with the Shuriken flip and the perfect execution. The slow coming in from the W. Cannot get away even though he has the shield. Looking for the passive damage on top of him. Waiting out the shield, but he cannot get it. The flash comes in to shut down Hayri. Double knockup from Boom. Looking for Dokla to be able to get away with the Shuriken flip. Boom, not going to be able to get the damage, but Ryoma might be able to provide enough of that onto Armeo. Dokla is invisible, but does not have the damage to be able to escape from Ryoma, who gets him down too. Hayri trying to be able to get away with the shield. He takes one with him, but it should be at least one more. Goes golden underneath the turret to be able to survive a little bit longer. But then knock up into the wall, secures the kill for Tenacity.
A play that 100 Thieves was looking for. They're able to find a couple of kills in exchange for their own, which was quite nice. Then it goes a 3 for 2, all things said and done, where Tenacity is a pretty big beneficiary. Ryoma as well finds a couple. And the biggest thing is Hayri picks up 2 of the kills during that play right there, and that's your Karma support. Not exactly the person you want picking those up, whereas it's the Lucian, who's one of these kill threats, as well as a bunch of gold now going to Tenacity for picking up this solo play. This is a play that 100 Thieves will take 100% of the time. A lot of it off the back of Boone being able to help and support this play in the entirety. It also can be living for way too long, forcing Team Liquid to walk too far up in that play.
So much for the side of 100 Thieves worked out well, getting Kenby to survive way longer, making sure that not a lot of that gold went onto the proper targets. You wanted Dokla to be the one getting a lot of those kills, but Hayri ended up getting 2 of them in the fight, just to make sure they could secure something. You take a look at this replay. It starts off where it looks like it's a good play and a good call to answer from Team Liquid.
Yeah, it's a little bit of shenanigans right here because of the invulnerability and everything else. I love the E from Kenby to be able to buy this space a little bit more in Armeo, thinking he can challenge with this TP, but unfortunately Boom's on the way up. Ryoma's wrapping all the way around, and Kenby lives for way too long. Look how far up they are in the lane. The flashing that come through from Hayri just to find that one play, and now all of a sudden the reinforcements are here. I think this could have been played out a little bit better with a bit more focus. I like that Boom was keeping everybody kind of boxed in on that other side. Dokla nearly came away with a kill against Ryoma again. And were it not for the empowered Q, Hayri probably would have gone down without any real trouble, because Ryoma would have been able to run them down. The Zonia is also just a little bit tedious, but Tenacity ended up being able to pull the kill off.
And pretty much just delayed the inevitable there. We knew that Hayri was going to die. There's no real way to be able to escape from that fight. And now you see that there's a 1,000 gold lead for 100 Thieves Academy here at this mid-game. Kind of similar, kind of reminiscent of the last game. And when we look at this, Team Liquid, you know, even if they are behind, at least still are getting some control. Look at their vision control. They've been able to put on the bottom half of this map. They might be able to contest, at least taking some of these dragons early enough to delay the scaling of 100 Thieves.
Maybe. It's going to be tough. They still have this out for some early presence, but it feels like 100 Thieves are just willing and raring to go 100% of the time. Not to mention, they've got so much damage and a lot, like the Lucian right now, absolutely loaded in terms of gold for the damage, and Kenby also has a ton of it to work with too. So these team fights are going to be difficult to play out with the amount of damage that 100 Thieves is simply bringing to the party.
Look at the damage that comes in from the side of Team Liquid. They're getting a lot of chip damage onto these members of 100 Thieves, and they don't even have Dokla here. He's now TPing into the bot lane. Boom, a bit far, a bit extended. They're going to be able to get some flows and the Unbreakable Will, but he is low. He's not as tanky as he would like to be. So Ryoma now fighting in the back lane, gets shut down by Dokla. The fight turns around. There's a lot of damage in from the needlework of Tenacity, but they can jump on top of him and make sure that they're going to be able to get the knock with the 3 talent strike and then take him down as well. He goes golden to be able to survive. Even if they got Yon on the back line, it's not really going to matter when you lose so many members for 100 Thieves.
The fight got split really heavily there. 8-gauge really didn't work out too well. I really loved the idea from Boom, but I thought maybe should have wrapped around that wall, not knowing that there was a ward there, though. Was a little bit afraid to try to find that really big flanking angle. And because of that, not only did they not win like the forwarding game, because they don't have that front line, that engage to work with, but Ryoma also gets picked off on the back line by Dokla, who is able to find it. We're going to get a deep teleport from Dokla to find this one.
You can see right here that Armeo was able to do so much to Ryoma to start it off that it's an easy collapse afterwards.
And Luger, the worst part is he wanted to wrap out and around the tri-brush and maybe look for something, but I think because of the TP from Dokla, was forced to back up the fight, and by that time, before anything else, if you ult in, you pretty much just die here. Maybe you pick off Ayla or maybe Harry during that process, but that's about it, and that's not going to win you the game, so Luger instead decides to hold his life. But that means that the team fight is just gone because he wasn't there to access a bunch of the damage behind the Kai'Sa, which could have really been a boon, especially for Tenacity in that like 1v2, 1v3 scenario.
I was about to say, you saw how much damage Needlework did in that fight for Tenacity. They got so many members low that you imagine, had Luger just been right there next to them, they probably actually could have turned the fight back, so they could have won that one. But the fact that he was completely forced out of the fight to begin with meant that it was essentially a 4v5 for Team Liquid. And right here, Dokla gets so much damage onto Ryoma. He even dives back in and gets the kill with Penby nearby. Hayri going to be able to try to see if he can help out his top laner, and he should be able to do it. There's no mana for Kenby. Double kill picked up by Dokla.
Oh my goodness, what happened right there? Ryoma wanted the one-on-one, but you're not going to kill this Akali with how tanky she is with this Riftmaker and with everything else in the kit, denying the healing. Yeah, Big Dokes coming up clutch in that 2-on-1, and then eventually got the support of Harry, which is a little bit unfair, but I don't even know that he needed it to be able to bring down Kenby in that process.
This is just a 20-minute Baron start coming in from Team Liquid. The moment it spawns, they go immediately on it. Nasty is here. Ryoma is going to spawn and has the ability to DP into the fight, and Ryoma Tenacity, their damage is nothing to scoff at. Even if you don't have to worry about Kenby trying to steal it away, you gotta worry about dying on the way out. Here comes the TP. Ryoma wants to be able to dive in, but Dokla nearby as well. He's got a 2-level advantage over Ryoma now, and the damage was enough to threaten Ryoma and pull back in Boom. And all the while, 25% left on to this Baron. Here goes Tenacity in with the Hollowed Ground, trying to see what he can do, but they're going to be able to get the double knockup coming in, and the damage to be able to take him down with Boom nowhere to go. And look at Big Dope. He's able to do a lot, even though he died in the fight. The flash in to be able to take your kill and jump back in on Armeo. Kenby, he just spawned back up. Huge move ult does nothing for the team, as Hayri is able to square away Boom. Ryoma taken down by the spear. Triple kill for Armeo.
And now Team Liquid has completely turned this game on its head. They went from being down a fair amount of gold to 100 Thieves now having no response to anything that they're accomplishing. They had to reset Baron. That's one thing. This is a pretty slow Baron without Ezreal with the ton of attack speed, but it's not going to matter because they got plenty of time to be able to take this away. And I'm not sure whether 100 Thieves was trying to call to go for the pickoff onto Dokla or whether they were trying to get into the pit, but that fight got split right down the middle. 2 members went forward, 3 members stayed back, and because of that, there's no cohesion to end up taking this Baron.
No, and honestly, you got to give massive props over to Team Liquid with how they've been playing these fights. Dokla especially, even though he dies there, it took a while for his team to be able to then turn back and get the kills themselves. There was so much time clock that you can watch that Ryoma and Luger, they're both forced to focus on a Dokla.
That they are. They're forced out of this fight. Dokla was able to push them away because they're so squishy. You see, Luger very nearly dies, has to burn the ultimate just to stay alive. And in this one, in Armeo, after the shield expires, he's able to get it with that W coming through. Wind becomes lightning, more than enough for that. And then, Kenby tries to throw the ultimate for a little bit more. Poom can't really be around. Ryoma doesn't have the damage to parry through 3. And it's just super simple for Team Liquid to just play time and time again. The heroics of Dokla in these fights has been amazing because that whole play was set up off of a play that Dokla had just seconds before in that 2 kills against Kenby and Ryoma.
This is what I find so funny about this Team Liquid Academy roster. They put Jenkins back up into the LCS. They bring in Dokla, someone new. You think that they're going to have to play this different style. It's a player with a different champion pool. But in reality, the style he plays is so similar to Jenkins. They're both aggressive. They love to find these fights. Sure, maybe not the same champion pool, but look at Dokla here, being able to get so much out of Ryoma, and even forcing the TP in. 1v3, he is scaring these members of 100 Thieves that they're forced to try to see if they can deal with him. And with so much burden now, you can see Team Liquid want to be able to get a good punish. Nice Glacial Fissure, not going to be able to get the damage necessary onto the members now that 100 Thieves have been able to rejoin the fight. They've got the damage onto Kenby. Armeo is able to absorb so much pressure. Finally, he dies. But they've got Tenacity. Ryoma taking a lot of damage as well. Tenacity, you're going to be the next one to fall. Looking for one more auto. Still alive. The flash in to be able to get the double kill coming in from Yon. Looking for Poom. But Luger into the backline. Not going to be able to get enough. Triple kill comes in from Yon. Making a quadra kill for Team Liquid.
Oh my god, 100 Thieves are so close to breaking this fight wide open. How many times did Boom nearly save that one for themselves? They just can't get enough. They can't work their way through this Ezreal, who's already on 2.5 items right here. There's not enough to work through all of this. Karma's still insanely strong with 3 full items. Is able to keep everybody healthy enough to survive this fight. And while 100 Thieves, they gave it their damnedest right there. I cannot believe how Team Liquid has been able to take it to our top team so far.
And the thing is, even if Dokla dies in these fights, even if it seems like he's not accomplishing much, so much is put to try to contend to deal with this Akali that they have nothing left to fight the rest of the members of Team Liquid.
I love this from Poom. It was so clean. This CC chain is amazing. And I was like, okay, maybe this is a point. This Tenacity is still full health. Maybe they've got a little bit more. Isla's ultimate here was really big to be able to set things up. And Yeon was getting shoved off by Kenby. I was like, okay, maybe they could work their way front to back if they push through everything. Armeo goes down. Isla's still waiting. They're trying to find something. This is where Tenacity started to pop off. And unfortunately, again, these shields from Hayri, just too much to have to deal with. Luger tries to go way too far. I think also, instead of focusing down members, going for Isla instead of going for damage right here. And that's just not going to be enough for them to actually end up winning this fight. It's so close, but unfortunately, everybody is just too strong on Team Liquid.
They're just so far ahead, and here we go, the 1v1 fight yet again. Ryoma, can you be able to get away? No, you can't. This time around, Dokka's able to get the kill. No, it happens elsewhere. Hayri's gone, the shield, no more. But the damage onto Poom, even though he's got the Unbreakable Will, finally dies over to Ayla. Tenacity trying to be able to dodge away, still alive. They've got the double kill coming in from Kenby, but Kenby, he's been rooted for so long, finally dominating Yon and taking out the rest of the members, even with the killer instinct. No more. One more time, it's a triple kill coming in from Yon.
The fight at the top side, I think, is more of like just a pure gold victory right there, because it was played out well by 100 Thieves to begin with, but Luger just could never get onto Yeon at all to try to put this damage in. Not to mention, on this Frozen Art and on this Maul, or at least the Hex Drinker, it's just so easy. Man, Ryoma, how many times do we have to teach you this lesson? How many times are you going to die to Dokla in this one-on-one before you realize you just can't take it? You're not even dropping him a quarter of his health bar before you die.
And the thing is, you gotta realize this team's pushing topside. There's no one to back you up this time around.
Not at all. Yeah. And then right here, like I said, the fight started to look good. The Zonia's coming out where a little bit of stalling. I thought they might be able to get Ayla and mount some sort of defense, maybe try to get one of these extra people. But as soon as that comes through and the stalling was there, Dokla ends up beating. Like, this fight's just completely over. Now Yeon is just so ridiculously fed on this carry that there's nothing much. I think Team Liquid's just got this in the bag, unfortunately. The range that they've got, the team fighting that they've got, Ryoma's still a ways away from actually being able to accomplish too much on this Lucian pick. Kaisa's not able to burn through this front line super fast. Tenacity's been doing some really good work, but I don't think it's enough to challenge Ezreal on the back line.
All right, Big Dokes. Looks like they're going to be the first one on the call this time around. He got a little bit of damage. They're pulled back in. Goes Golden to be able to survive longer. Where's the flip? There's the flip. Trying to survive. Trying to dash away to the team who shows up just in the nick of time to be able to help them out. They have to be afraid. Armeo is in the middle of everybody. But look, they're doing so little damage that Genvi goes Golden to be able to survive a little bit longer. Blood kills Ryoma once more on the side. He can't be dealt with. Nobody can stop him.
I cannot believe just how insanely well Dokla is playing right now. Not only in the previous series, being able to just dominate on the likes of the Wukong, but how many times has this Akali just clutched out in multiple person situations right there? 5 members collapsed onto Dokla, was still able to find 2 kills off the back of their engagement. That's just insane. And I think, honestly, right here, Team Liquid's just going to walk it down.
Yeah, I think they're going to look to see if they can give Team Liquid, I was about to say, Team Liquid can give 100 Thieves Academy their first 0-2. They don't end it just yet. They're playing this one cautiously. The paint by numbers League of Legends. We got only a little bit of time left until that Baron spawns up. They got a lot of gold in their pockets. They're lurking to spend as well.
I wonder if 100 Thieves has the timer here to try to even contest the vision that's been put into their own jungle by 100 Thieves. So this is the pickoff. There's 3-4 members eventually. Dokla first stalls with that Zonius to prevent the damage, then is able to get into the Shroud, dodges out Ryoma's, and then ults back to Ayla, who's able to do quite a bit of work. And now all these tools are down for 100 Thieves. They're scattered across the wind. There's no one to help anybody here. Ryoma tries to sneak out and around the edge and able to try to find Dokla, but this is just E auto attack, and that's just all that is necessary for that to come through.
So much damage in from Dokla that even when he's near death, he's able to still find the kill solo over Ryoma. And now with that play, with that win, they are able to see if they can pressure around the Baron once more.
It will. They've got the consistent damage, and no one really is here around the side of 100 Thieves to really go for anything. So yeah, they get the tower on bottom side. Maybe they're trying to play for this dragon to stall the game a little bit longer. But right now,
Dokla? Dokla is just 1v9ing at this point. He's trying to see if he can continue the fight onto Luger. He dashes back in! Dokla! Every time, man! He's still alive! Tenacity trying to take him down with the needlework. He will finally be shut down, but Tenacity gives his life as well. It's only a delayed inevitability. Harry's able to get the kill credit, but my god, Dokla!
Absolutely insane, being able to remove 2 members from the team because Luger and Tenacity are down. I don't know why they're not just pushing in. I guess they don't have the minion wave. That's what they're going back for. Okay, they turned completely back around for this. Wow, Team Liquid are making this look so easy against 100 Thieves. I feel like every player's playing phenomenally, but man, Dokla's doing so much. Iree's able to find that one. This is just them running them down. There is nothing for 100 Thieves to do here.
Yeah, even look at Boom. Look where Boom is. He's just going for the red buff. He knows it's over. He knows the streak is gone for 100 Thieves. Team Liquid strike blood. They're able to get the first 0-2 off of the 100 Thieves Academy. This is striking at the hearts of the top team and trying to see if they can cement their place in the top.
Really unfortunate that we couldn't wait for another minute because we had, what, 5 kills until we broke the kill record as well. I completely forgot to track that, but look at that final kill scores. It was crazy. But man, Team Liquid coming out here in a competition against 100 Thieves, our top team, able to absolutely dominate. I think a lot of it, the entire series, based on Dokla. Dokla had some phenomenal play over the course of both of these games, and really that Akali was something special.
And we got to take a look at these, and I'm just going to track where Dokla is. This TT and behind. And keep in mind, at this point, he's 1-3. It's not like he's far ahead. Yeah, and this fight got completely broken because Poom starts off trying to find a flank angle, but can't really put it together in time. Yeon and Ayla just get to walk out the back of the fight because there's no one to contest. Thankfully, Kenvi finds something. But Tenacity is 1v3ing in the midst of the fight. You have one person above, one person below, where Luger is just not able to access the fight. And this is 100 Thieves getting broken to pieces because they can't put all of it together at one time. This was a really nice fight from Poom. I'm still 100% on that bandwagon because I think Poom played this about as perfectly as you could possibly want, but they weren't able to focus down the right target.
targets at the right time. And that happened time and time again where 100 Thieves, they were able to keep Yeon so far back that there was no competition into the S-Reel to deny this damage source from the side of Team Liquid.
Well, and that's the thing, is after you focus on Dokla, you got to focus on Yon afterwards. It's like, if you focus on Yon, then you're not dealing with Dokla. There's too many threats on the side of Team Liquid that clearly 100 Thieves just could not handle them all. They couldn't juggle all of the eggs in the basket.
No, they could not, and it became problematic. I think 100 Thieves, after a little while, they were trying to put pressure into Dokla, but it just wasn't accomplishing anything. And this was the fight that really, I think, cemented it for me, knowing that there was just no way that with these flat stats that were had by the gold advantage, by everything else from this team, that there was a way for them to compete whatsoever, especially when Dokla was around. But even when Dokla wasn't around, I think Yeon honestly clutches this fight anyhow because of just how fed he was.
Yeah, he ends up that game, I think 11-2 on that S-Reel, so far ahead. And you know what? I feel like it's a perfect time to just jump right into the interview, our Verizon post-game interview. We got Ayla on the line, getting the 2-0 victory for Team Liquid Academy. Oh man, congratulations on being able to take down 100 Thieves, taking down the first seed. Gotta know how it feels.
Yeah, thank you. This win was very big for us. It's like our first 2-0 against the top team currently. They've been performing really well, so to get a solid 2-0 and prove our dominance means a lot to us.
What do you think you would attribute in terms of what you did over the course of the preparation of the week? Do you think like scrims? Was it like coaching? Were you guys just really in the zone today? What was it you think that drove you to being able to beat the top team in a 2-0 like that?
Yep. Actually, our scrim and preparation for the week was not super ideal because obviously Armea has been playing with the LCS team, so we're actually scrimming with a different jungler. I'm not sure if I can say who it is, but he's a very aggressive style compared to Armea. So we had opposite junglers throughout the whole scrim week, and then despite that, huge respect to Armea, he came in after scrimming, he has to scrim the whole day, then instantly hop on and play a game of Academy. So huge respect, and obviously preparation was not ideal, but we performed, so I'm really proud of the boys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you guys performed amazingly well today, and we gotta go into how you were able to play on the Thresh in the first game. Your Thresh was so good, and is that one of your comfort champions to be able to pick, is this Thresh? Because it looked like you had pretty much just the heat-seeking missile on your hook onto Luger.
Yeah, I do put a lot of time into Thresh. I think he's a very fun, skill-expressive champ, so yeah, he's one of my more comfort champs, and I'm very happy with how he performed.
Tell me about the new top laner, because obviously Dokla stepped in very recently for you guys, with Jenkins having moved up and been able to play a bit with the LCS roster. So at first, obviously, there were some drawbacks, there were some new things to overcome, but what has really driven it over? Because obviously Dokla had a fantastic performance today. What do you think it was that got him there?
Yeah, well, we knew Dokla was the best top lane out there after Bob, so we're really happy to have him come in, and he's been performing really well. He plays very carry, high impact champs, so we play around that. We give him those champs, and he really performed. He soaks a lot of pressure, and helps out the team. So obviously game 2 on Akali, he was constantly getting 3-4 man, surviving, even trading 1-for-1, and then we would come and clean up. So it's really enjoyable playing with him. He brings a lot of energy and decisive comms to the team, so nice to have him.
Actually, that's it. I kind of like that point. So bringing Dokla in, bringing the comms in from him, I just want to know, from your point of view, who you think is the main voice for the team. Who's the one really driving a lot of these decisions?
Yeah, I think it's a very large part of it is just a team effort, but the two main ones would be me and Armea, and then occasionally Harry or Dokla would hop on, and then Yon just clicks his buttons and does damage.
Hey, you know what? I can respect it. I can respect that from your team, especially after you get the 2-0 like you did. Before I let you go, is there anything you'd like to say to everyone out there who's rooting for Team Liquid Academy? Yeah,
I just want to give a huge shout out to Team Liquid, because obviously as Academy players, our goal is to make it to LCS. So, having Armea and Bob Jenkins both hopping up there is a really big opportunity for them. So thank you, Team Liquid, for giving us that opportunity. And also, just a quick note to the shoutcasters, not trying to flame, but my ADC's name is pronounced Yon, not Yeon. So
Oh,
just
don't
to
worry,
let
we
you guys
said
know.
we said yawn. Don't worry, we
Alright,
said yawn.
thank
I'll
you.
make sure to pass that around for everyone else because I know some people do mess that up. But I appreciate you giving the input. I appreciate you joining us for the interview. I'm gonna let you go so you can go celebrate your 2-0 victory. Thank you, Ayla, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And with that, we get a 2-0 coming in from Team Liquid Academy over the #1 seed at the moment of 100 Thieves Academy, dishing out their first ever 0-2. Definitely interesting stuff to see how it's going to shake up the standings going later into the season.
It's really exciting thing. We got some fantastic play out of that game from Team Liquid, and obviously 100 Thieves gotta go back to the drawing board. And some of it is like, okay, obviously you don't want to take losses, but being that high up in the standings, and maybe this actually gives you some perspective, because now you get to go back and you say, what caused this 0-2? What was it about Team Liquid's play today that caused this? That information's usually invaluable, but far more valuable, I think, for Team Liquid, being able to take, like he said, I mean, Armeo, not being able to scrim with the team most of the week and still being able to have a performance like that is really, really impressive.
It really is. It's crazy to see this development coming in from Team Liquid Academy. Like they said, Jenkins and Armeo, both of them now on the LCS spot. And before we toss the break, I'm just gonna say that I'm proud to see their success and how this team has been really growing.
Yeah, they've come a very long distance. A lot of these academy players are getting a lot of chances to really make a name for themselves on the LCS stage, and I think some of them are very much impressing. And I'm excited to see what this next sets are, because obviously we see what the talent looks like. Those are two of our top teams right there, and there were some really solid plays, really good things to take away from that game for some of these players to eventually maybe take that spot on the starting roster.
Indeed. And with that, that's going to conclude our second best of 2. We got one more left for the day, so don't go anywhere. It's going to be Immortals Academy and Flying Quest Academy up after the break.